Elena, I got you with me today. I know it's been a little while for us to get together, but I want to just first introduce you a little bit before you introduce yourself. So I met Elena at an event about this time last year, and I got to hear her share her journey for about, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe it was a little bit longer than that, several minutes, right? There was something there that she said that resonated with me, and I have an idea what it is, but I really don't remember, so I'm not going to just make it up out of thin air. So I approached her when there was a break, and we just had a brief conversation. That was about it. We did try to get together throughout the event, just never happened. So I will share that it was enough, I guess, to leave some kind of impression with you that you were able to reach out to me in June or July of the same year last year to speak at your event, which happened this year, which was great. And that just started our friendship and getting to know each other. And we've grown together since then. So I'm excited to see where that goes in the future. But it's amazing what little things, it takes just to open up and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what happened. This is what resonated with me. And that's all it took for us. So, people have to understand, like, just approach somebody, right? And so, Elena, with that, I went a little longer there, but with that, why don't you just share, a little bit about yourself, and then we can go back into your journey. Basically, what led you to start on that stage, and what did you share on there, and we can dive into that even more.
Well, I love it. Well, number one, thanks for having me here on your amazing platform, your podcast. I'm honored to be here. But, you go back to that time where you never really know if what you're doing is making a difference, right? I just kind of feel like I'm just rolling with life. Life is lifing, and you kind of just have to go with it. And so when we were at that event, and yeah, I had my, I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe 12 to 15, who knows how many minutes it was, but just sharing from my heart. And then to have you approach me kind of like in between the seats and stuff, and just kind of talking about things like, number one, I recognize the courage that that takes because I'm introvert. And so to go up and actually like say something to someone that you don't know, that you've not really met, I mean, that I admired the courage in you immediately because I knew that that was like stepping into like a uncomfortable place because you don't really know. I mean, would I be friendly or would I don't know if I can even like say the word on here, but it's like you just really never know if like people are really bitchy or if they're really friendly. Are they who they portray themselves to be, you know? So that was the first thing that jumped out when you just approached me was like, wow, this guy's really doing something that I honor because I know it took a lot, even though it seems so simple. Um, but for me, you know, I number one, I like to just consider myself a mom that has like tried to figure her way out, an adult that is still trying to heal and navigate her way. I walk in faith, and I'm just like you see who I am, and that is who I am. There's nothing really hidden behind anything. So to meet you a year ago and to have reached out, we'll get into that. But to me, I just feel like we are who we are, and if we can be confident in our skin, the people that are meant to be in our lives are going to be in them, and the people who are meant to exit are going to exit, and we're just here to experience it all. So here we are a year later, and it was really just because you stopped to say something after watching me like on stage, and we didn't know what was going to happen from that moment on.
Yeah, you're right. It's amazing. Yeah, and I don't know if I shared this with you, but when you called me to speak at your event, I had that weird night where I was and my daughter was performing with her band at a baseball game, and that was it. Like, and then we're there for the rest of the game watching baseball. Um, but I was by myself. They were with their mom and others, and so it was just a weird night for me. And then I got that, and I was like, okay, something's going to become of this. Um, So what was it that really, that you shared, on stage that you can remember? And I know you share this a lot, I guess, when you start talking to other people. I know you shared this at your event when I was down with you back in Texas this past month. So what do you normally share with others about your experience in your life journey?
Number one, people know me as the comeback queen. Okay. And I like to say I matured into that because in the beginning of my like entrepreneurial journey, I was dubbed the pain princess. One time I was actually a guest on a podcast, and the question was if you could be some sort of like superhero cartoon character, right? What would you be? And the pain princess is the first thing that popped into my mind because I thought, let me put my cape on and I just find beauty in pain. And that I think is weird to people, but I feel like my superpower is to help people find the beauty in their pain, to not swoop it under the rug, to not hide from it, because to me it's so powerful and it has that power to like lift you to do things you never imagined that you would do, but it also has that power to hold you down, like right where you are. So for me, anybody that knows me today knows me as the comeback queen because I've evolved my business and my branding and all of that as I've really matured and stepped into honoring my journey. And so for me, it's pain to power through prayer. And anybody that kind of knows me, no matter what stage I'm on, no matter what my message is, no matter what the topic, somewhere in there, that's going to always come up because we all have pain. Every single person has pain, and all the time we see pain to purpose, pain to purpose. And I just feel like that's a lie because we all have experienced pain, but not everybody's living their purpose. Not everybody has stepped into that. So if it was always pain to purpose, we'd all be walking around knowing exactly what we're here for and stepping in our purpose, but that's not the truth. Pain has power and a power to help you get to that place of purpose or pain to really hold you back. And so for me, anybody that hears any message that I ever have going on knows that I don't mind digging into that hard stuff. I don't mind talking about the hot mess that we are because pain just kind of paralyzed us at times in our life because that's the gold. That's the beauty. That's the place that can actually help somebody else. And so to me, that's the platform. People that know me know, comeback queen. I'm all about the pain. Let's like dig in there.
So how do you get the name of the comeback queen then?
That was actually I started asking questions. I'm on Facebook all the time, and I always go to my people. I always go to my people, my Facebook friends and family, to just to gather data and to learn what people really need. And one time I asked a question, and this was probably 3 years ago. And I said, if you were going to hear me speak on stage, I think I was preparing for a speaking competition. I had never spoke before. And so I asked the question, if you were going, like those of you that know me, those of you that have been around for like a long time, if you were going to come see me speak on stage, what would you benefit from the most? What would you want to know? I just asked my people, what is it that I have to say that you guys want to hear? And throughout that comment string, the common thread was how you made your comeback. How did you come back? How did you get up again? That was just a common theme. Comeback. How did you make your comeback? And I had to really think about that because for a minute I'm like, well, where did I come back from? Like, where'd I go? I've always been here. But that was just something that I think a lot of women, especially that knew my story, they wanted to know, how did you come back? How did you do that? And then the queen part, that came from kind of a message that God gave me years ago when he talked about show your crown. And we can kind of go into that if you want, but it was like show your crown. And so the crown, that theme, that symbolism has always been there. And so it just turned into the comeback queen. And here we are. Yep.
That's awesome. I love it. So for everybody that does not know anything about you, what is your story that made you the comeback queen?
Well, basically, it's I became widowed on Christmas Eve, 2018. And my husband he had a heart attack at 49 years old, and he had a heart attack on November 30th. And he was in ICU on life support for 25 days until I had to make the decision to turn the machines off. And he hung on to pass on Christmas Eve. So for me, I thought that was the worst of it. I thought that was that was excruciating. That was horrible. Um, but it wasn't until after he passed, like very quickly after he passed, that I realized that I really had been married to a stranger. We didn't have the best relationship. I just thought he was moody, you know. I thought he was moody, and I carried a lot of anxiety until after he passed, and going through like my own therapies and stuff, did I realize like it was a very narcissistic relationship. He did have narcissistic disorder, but I didn't even know that word. Now it's crazy because I see it all over the place, but I didn't know that word back then. I just felt like I walked on eggshells all the time. I was always afraid that like I was going to flip a switch, but I knew the pattern of it, and I just always prayed like let me do better, let me love harder, let me forgive more. I just thought eventually I could help him snap out of this, like whatever it was. But so it wasn't a healthy relationship. But after he passed, I can't even tell you, like I discovered debt, I discovered lies, I discovered just really financial ruin. But until like that got worse, and then that got worse, the cherry on top was that I discovered like a five-year affair that had gone on, and we had only been married two. We had been together 8 years, but we were married for 2 years. And when I like saw this whole message thread in a cell phone after he died, it went on for 5 years. And she had even been messaging about should she send us a wedding gift? Where were we registered? So it was ugly. But I lost everything. The final piece was losing my home, and I had to move me and my two sons back into my mom's house. And so by this time, 2 years had gone by. I was 44 when he died. And then we went into COVID and the shutdown, like everything. So I lost everything. And when I say that, I mean like I sold my 7,000 diamond wedding ring for $500 to keep my electricity on. I lost everything. So making that decision to just have to walk away from a home, and the reason when people always wonder like how did you lose your home? He had actually taken a loan out against it in his name only, and because we had bought it foreclosure, we had bought it cash. So to me, like we owned it, but there was a loan taken out in his name only, and so the bank wouldn't even talk to me. Like it was so crazy how things went down. But I walked away with like nothing and moved back in with my mom, and my sons were teenagers, and we moved back in, and so that's where I say like the comeback queen. I started a business from my mom's recliner, and just kind of built and built one brick at a time. And I did make my comeback. I have come back, and I think that's the piece that the women especially wanted to know, like how did you forgive? How did you find joy again? How did you make that comeback? How did you regain your self-confidence, your self-esteem, all of that? And I share that today. But that's what happened. I lost everything. So I was 46 years old, had nothing, moved back in with my mom, and just had to start all over again.
Yeah. So what did you do then? I mean, like, how did you, get composure and relax and say, I got this? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. The first piece is my faith. Okay. The first piece is my faith, and anybody that knows me knows my God. I call him my God. He's my grand overall designer. Um, I knew that this too would serve a purpose someday. I just knew it. I couldn't see it. I didn't like it, but my faith held me in that place. So I knew that all of these pieces would serve me in some way, shape, or form, and I really held on to that. The next piece is when I did discover the affair, I knew who she was. I had no idea that there was an affair going on, but I knew who she was. And she had been in my home just 2 days prior. And I felt a little something in my gut at that time, but I still didn't think anything like that. So when I discovered it, the first thing that after I wanted to throw up, after I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, then I prayed for her. I prayed for her because I knew even in the shadows, even in that darkness, even in that background, she couldn't spend 5 years with somebody and not feel their loss. And so I actually wondered, like, who knew? Was I the only one that didn't know? Like, did she have somebody there for her? Did she have somebody to cry with? Did she have somebody to be there as she mourned a loss? Because she did. There's no way around it. So I actually prayed for her forgiveness. I prayed that she be okay because he was dead. Nothing could be done at this point. I never mentioned her name. I never made a thing about it because I thought it's done, and I didn't want to get into that ugliness of it. I didn't want to open up something. And I almost think now, looking back, she probably came to my house to hope that something would come, pick a fight or have some sort of something. But I never, if she knows to this day that I know, I have no idea. But really, I would have to just say that is my faith. I'm a creative person. I'm an entrepreneur in my spirit. So the first thing that I thought was whatever crazy ideas God's going to place in my mind, I'm going to do something with because that's how I roll. If he gives me an idea, I do believe it comes from him and I got to do something with it. And so I got a crazy idea for lipstick to do lipstick. And that's really the start of the comeback. I took what little money that I could like, I sold a lot of stuff. Anything in my house, I opened up and I was just like, you want to come buy it? Buy it. Like $5, $10, whatever it was. I didn't needed cash. So, and nothing meant anything to me. It was all a lie. So I was like, you like the washer and dryer? It's yours. You like the table? Take it. You want to take, I mean, that's really how it was. And so I took the little bit of money and I worked with the manufacturer. I got fifty lipsticks and they all sold out. And so I just reinvested and bought more. And that's just kind of the start of the whole comeback.
That is cool. And you did it on a recliner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was actually at my mom's, right? And drinking my wine, having my pity party. And I'm scrolling on Facebook and I came across a photo of me. I had had a neck surgery. I have a scar like from here to here and I had a really major neck surgery and the scar was like nasty, but I had my red lipstick on. And so looking at this photo was like sometimes when God talks to you, it's like a split second, but it feels like there's a whole conversation that's taken place. And so when I looked at this photo, it's almost in that moment that I understood that my lipstick was the piece that has always made me feel put together. It's always made me get up and feel better because even with the scar like 2 days old, I still had my lipstick on. And so in that moment, it was almost like lipstick's been your superpower through this. Like lipstick is the one thing that even if you didn't get out of your pajamas, even if you wanted to crawl in a hole and die, you still had to get up, get yourself together and figure it out. And so I thought if it did that for me, maybe, just maybe, it could do that for another woman. And it was a way to bring women together, talk about confidence, self-esteem. It was a way to draw them into the work that I did with coaching and all of that. And then it was a great lead magnet. I mean, it made its own money. So that's, yeah, creativity.
That's awesome. And where can somebody like find that lipstick you got?
I have an online shop. It's called Besitos Beauty, and Besitos means little kisses in Spanish for people that don't know. So it's besitosbeauty.com, and I figured it out. I learned how to do it. I built everything from the ground up, and now we've been in business for since 22, 4 years. 4 years, and now we have different sales reps that use Besitos Beauty to do the same things, women that work with women and stuff.
That's awesome. So you weren't always an entrepreneur, am I right?
I pretty much I owned a fitness studio.
Okay.
Uh,
Interesting.
yeah. My parents, I've always seen entrepreneurship. They've always owned their own businesses. And so I grew up managing one of the businesses. It was a bar slash restaurant, deli. I mean, we were sports bar, entertainment, and the other side it was a deli. But I was manager over that. So I just always grew up in business. But I also knew that kind of environment, you like to party, you stay up late, it's a great time. I had a great time. But when I got married and wanted to start a family, I thought I don't want to raise my kids in this kind of environment. So I try to stay home. I try to stay home, be a stay-at-home mom, and I weighed more at my son's first birthday than when I delivered him. It doesn't work well for me. So I actually went to exercise class. I went to an exercise class because I could take him to the childcare room and do exercise. And then when I realized, like, oh my gosh, I can get paid to teach. So I got licensed and certified to teach dance fitness. And then before you know it, I opened up my own brick and mortar building. So I owned a fitness studio for 14 years.
Oh, great.
And I had 9 associates that taught for me as well. And then I traveled the United States and evaluated other instructors on technique and like kind of analyzing their studio. Was it welcoming and all of that. So I did that for 14 years. And when it was time to close, and I only closed because, uh, like in a 5 mile radius around me, it was like Max Fitness, Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, like all these 24-hour gyms opened up, and we were like physical teaching. So by the time that I closed, I think I was teaching almost 40 classes a week myself.
Wow.
Crazy. When I think about that, like think about that. You work a
Yeah.
40-hour work week, but imagine like working out
Well,
that
yeah.
whole time. It was nuts, but man, I was fit, right? But I did that for 14 years. And when I closed it, at that time I was approaching 40 and I had never worked for anybody. So it was kind of crazy because it's like what am I going to do? And I do at that time I remember God saying, it doesn't matter, how did he say it? You push and you motivate people and you inspire people, and you've done this all these years. It doesn't have to be fitness. So to me, it was like I traded one stage for another. I traded one mic for another. So it wasn't dance fitness anymore. I wasn't pushing your body physically, but now I could actually push you to motivate you mentally. And I just took my entrepreneurial skills and just applied them to a different business.
Yeah. And you're still doing it. You definitely took your own mic and now you're putting it on you put it on stage,
Yep,
your own
yep,
event, and you have your own channel going on now.
yep.
So what was it like doing your event? I mean, it was first, right?
Hmm.
And so, what did it take for you to go, okay, I got this, I can do this, even if it's not perfect. We all want perfect, but it's not
Hmm.
always going to happen, right? But we can always have progress.
Yes.
So what was that like? What was that feeling for you to make this and make it a dream come true?
I'll be very honest. This event, it was my Surrender to Rise event. We had to move it. because when it was first scheduled, I ended up having like dental surgery. It was like emergent dental surgery. And then my partner, her mother passed away. So it was almost like boom, that blocked it. Like that stopped it. And I thought, okay, okay, we'll have to move it. I move it. And then don't you know, the month before, same issue with my so I thought, what the heck? Like, what is pushing against this event? And I was kind of defeated before going in. And I'm not even gonna lie. But to me, it was like, okay, God, something big is happening here because the resistance, the push back against it was huge. People canceled, like people are going through divorces that were supposed to be on stage. Another person like had to cancel at the last minute. I just was like, what the heck? But that's the name of the game. Like show must go on. So so going there, there's a lesson that I learned when I wrote my very first book. And I always believe that you take these nuggets with you and keep them in your back pocket because you never know when you're going to need them. And I'll never forget writing the first book. My coach that helped me through that process said, there's always a shitty first draft. And it's like, just get it out because you can't go back and edit it. You can't go back and clean it up if you don't just get that shitty first draft out. And so to me, anytime I'm doing something for the first time, I always remind myself, you've never done it. You don't even know like what to expect. So get the shitty first draft out. Like get it out. And even though it wasn't shitty, that's kind of a concept I keep in my mind now that anything you do for the first time is not going to be the best it could be. There's just no way. So for me, it was amazing what happened in the people in the room. I couldn't have asked for anything more. Could I have made it prettier? Could I have had more people? Yeah, all those things. But I do believe that if it would have been too big for this first one, the impact wouldn't have been what it was. So I do believe it turned out exactly how it was supposed to. Am I making notes for the next one? Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you are. Yeah, and so I had a great time. I thought it went really well, and I told you that a couple times, I believe. Um, and I'm excited for, the next one you have coming next year. Can you just share a little bit about that real quick?
Yes, because that one I'm just like, okay, my God, what the heck? What are we doing? So we're going to be in September 2026. It's going to be September 24th through the 27th. We already know we're going to be in Arlington, Texas. And the reason we're going to be in Arlington, Texas, which is, well, Dallas Cowboys are like right there, but is part of the add-on that we're doing is a full day on Sunday in this big outdoor pavilion where they hold concerts and music, and we're going to give a platform like that for people to speak their stories, for general public to be able to, like, you bring your lawn chairs, there's seats, but there's outdoor. And so I'm just excited to bring an actual event piece as that opportunity for people. But the thing about my Surrender to Rise event is because I believe in small business, because I believe in entrepreneurship so much, and because I know how hard it is, I always bring a piece that honors that. Um, Most times in this space of feeling called to more, feeling like you're called to something, or there's just something bigger than you, it's because you're chosen for it, but it doesn't mean you know what to do. And so I think if we can bring everyone at the table and give everyone equal time and equal voice to really share nuggets and like learn from each other, that's a portion of it. And then the other portion is going to be typical conference speaking, their surrender to rise stories, and then that added day of the outdoor pavilion. We're bringing music, we're going to have people singing, like it's just going to be a good time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And do you have a link for that too?
Yes, it's surrendertorise.com. You
Awesome.
can't miss
You can't mess that one up, right?
it.
That's so cool. And I just wanted to dive in real quick on your channel. You just like this just popped up, not too long ago. and it's blowing up. Like I already see it already. It's everywhere. So like what got you started doing that? And what are you looking for the impact out of this?
Yeah, ProsperityV Network. Okay. For anybody that's tuning in and listening, chances are you've done things in the past that maybe are leading up to something that you just don't know yet. Okay. So for me, when I think about Prosperity TV Network, it's no surprise that for the past couple years, I've done streamathons. I do a lot of virtual, interviews and things, but I've always just had fun with it. I've always just been like, hey, let me do a small business spotlight on you. And I never called it a podcast or anything, but I've been on radio, video radio. And so there's a lot of things that I've kind of dipped into. And then about a year and a half ago, I met someone who I had a show on her platform. So I had a show called Strength Unleashed. And I just interviewed people and stuff. Well, she left her platform, and I was going to take my show there. And then, I don't know, again, crazy ideas. Um, I was like, I don't think I want to do a show. I think I want to help other people start shows. So I was like, I'll just start my own channel, but it was still going to be housed on that platform. And I'm like, I'll just kind of help people, a lot of it's confidence. Really, that's it. A lot of it is the willingness to have a shitty first draft.
There you go.
and 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 I want to help people be confident in a shitty first draft, right? And so I
Right.
was like, I would love to be able to like, help people this way. Well, as it became clear to me, I understood that again, my faith, God was giving this to me. God was giving me this platform and this ability, and now I had to protect it. And so I just took it on my own. I took it independent because I thought that's the only way that I can really protect the people that become a part of it, that I can protect the quality, that I can, just ensure that it's a good experience for everyone is if I just take care of it. And so I went with it. I was very honest with the people. Like I've had my own show, but I've never actually like had my own network on Roku, on the mobile apps, on like so I'm learning. Um, but when I actually shared like my vision, I look at in business, okay, everything has to be a way to drive your people to you. Everything. There you cannot have too many lead magnets out there or whatever you want to call them. You can't. You have to be able to have different ways to draw different people into you at all times. And so I look at a show as not only is it a way to get in front of new audiences, but it's a way to get really clear on your own business. And it's a way to get good. And even for the perfectionist that's afraid to go live, we can edit, but you still got to be able to get your message out. If you want to get on more speaking stages, you got to speak more. What better way to speak than on your own platform? So I looked at it from that perspective, but I still walk in faith. And we've put a lot of production behind it. And so when I launched just a month and probably 6 weeks now. And we now are like approaching show 13 or 14, which is huge. It's huge. And so we're doing a lot of production, editing. I want to be able to like have people help me out as we grow more. But it's Prosperity TV Network. Right now we're on YouTube. We're getting ready to hit Roku like in a day or two, and then we'll move. And then I want to give us time to like work out those kinks, and then we'll keep going. So I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a hurry, but we've grown very massively that I've actually added, and I don't even know if you know this, but in working with the business owners, I see a lot of the same issues. And so I'm coming out with a show called Crowned, and it's about building the for the one that's building an empire and trusting God at the same time. Okay. But through that, I actually have started now the Crowned Era Academy. And so I am bringing modules of business training, entrepreneurship training, master classes, in-depth coaching, so that it's not just about a show, but utilize the show to grow your business. And so I'm cranked. So all that's happened in like a month and a half, and I'm like so super excited.
Right. And here I get to have you for about an hour, right? Because I know you're busy doing everything else. So this is great.
Yeah.
Um, Elena, I really enjoyed you sharing. You shared a lot, right? Your past up to where you are today, the all your entrepreneurship journeys. Um, what is I know you shared everything with how to find everything else. Is there another way that might be easier for people to connect with you if they wanted to talk to you for whatever reason?
The main thing is that I'm on Facebook. Okay. So I'm on Facebook, and Elena Rodriguez, my name on Facebook, but I think if you have to like type in the thing, I think it says like the comeback queen, Elena. Like I think that's
Okay.
my, I don't even know. It's been so long. Um, but I'm on Facebook all the time, messaging and stuff. But honestly, Show Your Crown. Show Your Crown Enterprises is the hub that houses all my stuff. The Surrender to Rise book series, events, ProsperityV Network, Besitos Beauty. It's all part of Show Your Crown Enterprises. So even if I'm just emailed at elena@showyourcrown.com, I even have like showyourcrown.com, a website that, of course, you can contact me there. So that's probably the easiest way. But I'm on Facebook all the time. So
All right, cool. Yeah, and I'll drop all that in the show notes and stuff. So I have one question I ask everybody.
mhm.
What are three key things you've learned and used along your journey
Three key things I've learned
and
and
used?
used along my journey. Number one, I feel like I've learned that failure, making mistakes, is a pathway to learning. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I've learned that asking worst case scenario and coming up with an answer serves you well, because when you can face a worst case scenario and try to come up with a solution to it, then you're not really worried about anything. That's what I did when I lost my house. I asked myself, what's the worst thing that can happen here? And my answer was, Elena, you could lose your home. And so at that point, I asked my mom, um, if this happens, can we move in? She's like, of course. So then I wasn't afraid of worst case scenario because I already had something lined up. So failure is your friend. The other thing I've learned is forgiveness. Forgiveness is for you. You know, forgiveness is for your joy. Forgiveness is for your opportunities. You know, right I always think of it as what we think is right or wrong is simply something we agree or disagree with. If we agree with it, it's right. If we don't agree with it, it's wrong. And so what you think is right, I might think is wrong. So it's more of like just forgive people and let it go. You know, your opportunity is in front of you. So forgive the things that are holding you back. Forgive the things that are keeping you angry. Forgive the things, the coulda, woulda, shouldas. Like we're here right now. So that's number two. And number three is if you have an idea, if it's a whisper, if it's a everything, and I think I talked about this at the event, like everything that we are touching, using, it was an idea. It was someone's idea. And so that's what I mean. I grabbed this off my desk. This is like a Besitos tube of lipstick. It's tangible. It's in my hand, and it was a crazy idea. So to me, I've learned that those little dreams, those little whispers, those little crazy, where did the heck did this come from? Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it, because that's not by accident. It did not cross your mind by accident. You were chosen for that. So take action, put your shitty first draft out there and see what happens, because you really don't know unless you try.
I love it. So I'm going to start doing a whole bunch of shitty drafts.
Do a shitty draft. That's
That's
that's everything.
that's all right. I love it. That's awesome. Elena, I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with everybody listening and watching this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.